Google Analytics. When it comes to data tracking and reporting, this platform is one of the biggest and most popular around. However, it can be too much of a good thing. With so many metrics to track and numbers to analyze, you can very easily make mistakes with the data that you collect within the platform. Luckily, some common mistakes made when setting up Google Analytics are easy to fix. You can get back on track with collecting and using your data for your business in no time. In this video, I'm sharing 3 mistakes most people make when setting up their Google Analytics account, how to fix them, and why. So let's get started. If you're new here, my name is Kari and I'm a business operations specialist. I help successful businesses with messy metrics clean them up so they can get simple, accurate information from their data, which enables them to grow more quickly and more efficiently. So what's the first mistake I see people making when setting up Google Analytics? Not setting up both Universal Analytics and Google Analytics 4 right now. As of now, on July 1st, 2023, Google will no longer be supporting Universal Analytics. Universal Analytics is the platform that most people have used on their website for years and years, and it's likely the one that you are using now. And it's also the platform I discuss in a video I have about metrics. As you can imagine, this is huge news. And instead of staying with the platform they're currently using, Google is forcing everyone to move to their newish platform, Google Analytics 4, by this summer. So how does this affect you and why should you care? These two platforms function completely independently of each other. They may both be Google tools, but they're basically separate platforms in the way that they function. I can't recommend enough that you take the time right now to make sure you have both Universal Analytics and Google Analytics 4 installed on your website. Yes, July is still months away, but the sooner the better. You might be thinking, why not just add that Google Analytics 4 code in June? There's no rush. But it will only benefit you to have as much data as you possibly can within your Google Analytics 4 account. I encourage you to set it up now so that you can gather all of the historical data you can so you have it on hand for reference. If you don't, you won't have the data on hand to be able to compare metrics over time periods. The data from Universal Analytics doesn't flow into Google Analytics 4, so you want to get as much of that information as possible into the Google Analytics 4 platform. Since Google Analytics 4 is built on computer learning and AI, you want to have as much of your data as possible in there to be able to get the best, most accurate information for your sites. And just to clarify, there are ways of running both Universal Analytics and Google Analytics 4 simultaneously, so you do get the best of both worlds right now. So, bottom line, the earlier you set up Google Analytics 4, the more historical data you will have and the healthier your long-term data will be. So now's the time. The second biggest mistake I see is not implementing cross-domain tracking. Maybe you're already collecting data with Universal Analytics or Google Analytics 4, you've installed the code on your website, and it doesn't get much better than that, right? Well, actually it can. Most of us in the online business space own multiple domains and use multiple tools for different parts of our customer journey. For example, imagine a person clicks from Facebook to get to your WordPress website, and then they get redirected to a cart like Thrivecart when they're ready to buy. Without cross-domain tracking, Google Analytics will say that your customer originally came from your website and not from Facebook. And this means you really don't know where your site traffic and your sales are coming from. Plus, Google Analytics will also treat this person as multiple visitors, which inflates the number of users in your reports and it skews your data. And that means you can't pinpoint what's actually working in your sales funnel and what needs some improvement. That's why cross-domain tracking is so helpful. It tells Google that all of the sites that are a part of your full customer journey are part of your online ecosystem, and it treats that traffic as such. That way, Google knows to keep the original accurate source for your site traffic. So for better and more accurate data on your site traffic, implement cross-domain tracking now. The last major mistake I see business owners making when it comes to their Google Analytics is not taking advantage of everything it has to offer. You likely already know just how much information you can gather from Google Analytics, but are you actually using that information for your business to make decisions? If you don't know where to start, or if the volume of information is just too overwhelming, trust me, you are not alone. I see this happen all the time with business owners. You set up Google Analytics on your website because everyone says you're supposed to and because it's supposed to be helpful, but maybe you never actually take the time to look at the data that you're collecting. And that's totally okay. It's never too late to start putting that information to use in your business. So what are some things that you can learn from Google Analytics? If you launch a new offer this year, I'm sure you would want to know how many people are actually hitting your sales page. How many people actually have a chance to read your carefully crafted words, compelling them to give your product a second thought? Yes, you can sometimes find that data within your sales page tool or funnel builder, but getting accurate data that way is often much more difficult than you think. Google Analytics simplifies this and becomes one source of truth that's reliable across all of the platforms that you use. And site traffic. We already talked about how helpful cross-domain tracking can be in pinpointing the source of your site traffic, but Google Analytics can also tell you how your marketing efforts are performing and affecting your site traffic. Are people discovering your business via your blog posts? Are your YouTube videos clicking through your video description to your website? Are your Instagram followers signing up for your email newsletter? You want to know which of the actions that you're taking actually are making a difference for your business. Google Analytics will tell you this in your traffic acquisition data. You can literally see where your traffic is coming from and what your site visitors are doing once they get to your site. So if you're completely new to Google Analytics or you really just want to start understanding your site traffic, I encourage you to start tracking these 3 stats monthly, if not weekly. The first is the total number of users that hit your site, your main traffic sources, and then how many conversions are actually taking place on your site. I actually discussed these 3 metrics, among others, in a video about measuring the performance of your sales funnel, and I highly recommend you watch that one. It's so easy to get caught up in the obvious numbers like sales, revenue, things like that. And while those numbers are important, you should be mindful of other data at your disposal from Google Analytics. Valuable data that can make your offers and businesses the best that they can be. And while those numbers are important, you should also be mindful of other data at your disposal via Google Analytics. Valuable data that can make your offers and business the best that it can be. So these are my top 3 mistakes that I see most people making when they're setting up their Google Analytics. Number 1, not having both Universal Analytics and Google Analytics 4 installed. Remember, Universal Analytics will no longer be supported beginning July 1st, 2023, and you don't want to get stuck in a position where you don't have all of the data that you need at your fingertips. Please let this serve as a reminder to set up Google Analytics 4 now so you can begin gathering historical data and getting more accurate numbers for your business. Number 2, not using cross-domain tracking. Cross-domain tracking helps you to more accurately identify sources of site traffic and gives you more accurate user data so you can see the entire customer journey as one event, even when you're jumping across multiple domains or tools. It's really helpful in understanding what's working and what isn't. And last but not least, not taking advantage of all of the wisdom Google Analytics has to offer. Collecting all the data in the world does no good for you or your business if it's never looked at or learned from. Choose a couple of numbers to start tracking and make decisions from, and then build up slowly. This is just the tip of a very large data iceberg, so make sure you click that subscribe button and stay tuned for more videos about Google Analytics and how to make data-driven decisions in your business. If you have any questions about setting up Google Analytics 4 or collecting data with Universal Analytics now, please drop them in the comments and I'd be happy to help. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.